Have you ever wondered who is actually going to control the future of human intelligence? Welcome to the explainer that decodes the most intense technological rivalry of our lifetime, OpenAI versus Google. For decades, the answer was totally obvious, right? You opened a browser and you went to one specific search engine. But right now, there's a hidden, incredibly high-stakes battle quietly rewriting the very limits of what computers can do. And the old rules? They are completely out the window. To show you just how fierce this is getting, look at the scale of this shift. Since 2018, private investment in AI hasn't just grown, it has exploded. It's skyrocketed by over 13 times. We're talking about a line crossing $100 billion. That is $100 billion pouring in to fuel an invisible arms race. Which brings up the $100 billion question. What are these tech titans actually fighting over? Because here's the crazy part. Those friendly chatbots you use every day, they're just a cover. They are merely the public face of a much deeper, vastly more consequential war that will literally define the next century of human progress. So, let's dive into Act 1, the world before. How did one company gain so much power to begin with? Well, to understand where we're going, we've got to look back at the empire that ruled the web long before generative AI was even a thing. In the 1990s, the internet was just chaos. Finding anything was like looking for a needle in a digital haystack. But then came the massive reveal. Google introduced PageRank. This brilliant algorithm used web links as signals of authority, instantly turning that chaos into order. It built a seemingly untouchable monopoly, making Google the undisputed gateway to human knowledge for an entire generation. And honestly, almost no one believed this massive empire could ever be seriously challenged. That is, until a tiny idealistic research lab named OpenAI popped up right in the shadow of Google's monolith back in 2015. It's your classic David and Goliath setup, two completely different visions barreling toward the exact same future. So, how did the tension actually start? It was a quiet friction at first. While Google's DeepMind was steadily pushing the absolute boundaries of deep AI research, OpenAI started with a much quieter vision, entirely focused on safe, beneficial AI. This ideological pressure cooker built up for 2 years, and then a massive breakthrough dropped in 2017 called the transformer architecture. By 2018, with the arrival of models like GPT-1 and BERT, the starter pistol had officially been fired. This brings us to Act 2, the moment everything changed. For years, all this rivalry was entirely theoretical, just confined to dense research papers and lab benchmarks. But in late 2022, everything we thought we knew about interacting with computers instantly shattered. Because how do you actually topple a search giant? You definitely don't just build a slightly better search engine. No, you completely change the paradigm. You pull humanity away from endlessly scrolling through blue links, and you replace it with a direct, synthesized conversation with a seemingly thinking intelligence. When OpenAI dropped ChatGPT, it didn't just launch, it went absolute supernova, reaching millions of users in record time. By completely bypassing Google's traditional search gateway, OpenAI instantly backed the tech giant into a corner, forcing them into a brutal, highly public product war where Google scrambled to deploy their Gemini models just to defend their throne. And it's absolutely fascinating how these two giants chose to fight back. We've watched this play out live on our screens, right? OpenAI is just racing at breakneck speed to release smarter, faster conversational models. Meanwhile, Google is flexing its sheer scale, scrambling to integrate AI understanding across its massive, pre-existing ecosystem of workspace tools and its billions of search users. But that leads us into Act 3, the hidden competition. What if I told you the apps we actually use, ChatGPT and Gemini, are just the tip of the iceberg? What if the real conflict is completely invisible to you and me? Because the true war isn't happening on your phone screen. It is a relentless, 6-stage industrial pipeline. It starts with raw electricity, which flows into massive data centers packed with specialized GPUs. Those GPUs train the foundation models, which finally power the applications you see. If you lose at any one of these bottom layers, the whole shebang at the top fails. And here is a truth that will literally bend your mind. Why are these companies dumping tens of billions of dollars a year into this? Because compute is the new oil. The sheer scale of processing power required to train these models has grown by over 1 million times since 2018. Let that sink in. 1 million times. We aren't just looking at growth here. It's a complete explosion in the physical requirements of intelligence. To handle that insane scale, you need unprecedented infrastructure. Microsoft Azure steps in as the massive, scalable cloud backbone powering OpenAI's models. Meanwhile, Google Cloud relies on a fortress it built entirely itself. The result? A global arms race of data centers, vast, humming warehouses of silicon and cooling fans that serve as the literal physical backbone for global AI supremacy. But wait, who actually builds the intelligence inside these massive servers? You can have infinite electricity and endless warehouses of GPUs, but silicon doesn't just wake up and think on its own. Algorithms require brilliant human minds to write them, and that takes us to the most aggressive, cutthroat battleground of this entire war. Human talent is the ultimate moat. Forget the code for a second, capturing the best minds in the world is the biggest advantage you can have. And right now, it is practically a dead heat. OpenAI holds roughly 28% of the world's top AI researchers, while Google DeepMind is breathing right down their necks at 25%. They are fiercely poaching scientific geniuses back and forth just to gain even a fractional mathematical edge. Put all this together, the hardware, the software, the genius talent, and it creates an unstoppable momentum, the AI flywheel. Massive capital investment buys you more computing power, which lets you build better models. Those smarter models attract more users. Then, millions of users provide invaluable data feedback, which, guess what? Generates even more capital investment. Once this wheel starts spinning, slowing down means losing everything. Which brings us to our final chapter, Act 4, the future of AI. So where does this breakneck cycle of escalating compute, hoarded talent, and billions of dollars actually lead us? What is waiting at the very end of this pipeline? Well, here's a reality check. The chatbot era as we know it is already ending. Writing emails and summarizing PDFs, that was just a parlor trick. The true destination on this roadmap for both OpenAI and Google is artificial general intelligence, or AGI. They are actively trying to build autonomous systems that can reason deeply, take physical action through robotics, and independently accelerate human scientific discovery. Right now, we are watching two radically different climbers ascending the exact same mountain. On one side, you have OpenAI, nimble, heavily funded, and laser-focused on conversation and creativity. On the other side, Google, a seasoned giant wielding massive structural scale and unprecedented ecosystem access. And both of them are climbing toward a peak that remains completely shrouded in clouds. But maybe the most important question isn't who reaches the top first. Ultimately, the most profound outcome of the OpenAI versus Google rivalry won't be which corporation dominates the stock market or who gets the most app downloads. It will be what kind of superintelligence they give birth to along the way, and how that intelligence forever alters what it means to be human.